Honestly, I didn't see this coming with Zay Flowers. The guy's got speed, talent, and all the tools to shine, yet he's been held back more than you'd expect, just because of how the Ravens run their offense. They run the ball a ton. Derrick Henry controls the goal line carries, and that seriously cuts into Flowers' chances to show what he can really do. So, 2025 could either be another year of missed chances for him, or finally the start of something big. The big question is, will the offense finally open things up and let Flowers be the star he deserves to be? Or will the system keep holding back one of the most explosive players we've seen? What's coming could change everything, and I'm here to break down every detail, so you know exactly what to expect next season. When you watch Zay Flowers on the field, it's hard not to get excited. He's that kind of player who's always one step away from turning a regular play into something spectacular. Quick cuts, blazing speed, and that knack for disappearing from defenders. He's the kind of talent that, in a different offense, would easily be a top fantasy football name. But the truth is, that hasn't happened yet. Despite flashes of brilliance and undeniable explosiveness, Flowers hasn't put up huge fantasy numbers. Over 2 seasons, he's had his moments, but also stretches where his stats barely moved. And here's the kicker. It's not about lack of skill. It's about the environment he's playing in. The Ravens run an offense that just doesn't favor wide receivers much, and Flowers feels that weight. It's not like he's lost his ability to create separation or speed, but the opportunities to catch the ball just aren't there enough. For anyone watching closely, it's frustrating to see his potential wasted at times. And this is where things get interesting. To understand why Flowers hasn't blown up yet, we need to talk about how the Ravens run their offense. And that's where their run-heavy system comes in. The Ravens have a clear identity on offense. Running the ball is king. Since Lamar Jackson took over as quarterback, the team built a game plan focused on pounding the ground. That means most of the time, they prefer to move the chains on the ground, controlling the clock and wearing down defenses instead of throwing deep passes. It's an effective way to win games, but it definitely limits the role of wide receivers. Looking at the numbers, it's even clearer. Baltimore has been well below the league average in pass attempts per game for years, putting receivers in a tough spot. While wideouts on other teams might see 9 or 10 targets a game, that's rare for Ravens receivers. No matter how talented Flowers is, he's stuck in this structural limit. This style isn't bad for the team, but it's a real break for any player relying on volume to produce fantasy points. It's like having a race car stuck in traffic. All the potential is there, but no room to accelerate. Flowers has the tools to shine, but unless the offense changes gears, he'll keep chasing stats. And just when you thought it couldn't get tougher for Flowers to get opportunities, one key addition made things even more challenging. When Derrick Henry joined Baltimore, it was like adding a tank to an already ground-focused army. Henry's known for being nearly unstoppable near the goal line, and that completely changed the offensive dynamic. Instead of cooking up a passing play for Flowers in the red zone, the go-to move is simple. Hand the ball to King Henry and let him smash through defenses. That means it's not just Flowers' receptions that get limited. It's his chances to score touchdowns, which in fantasy football make all the difference. Henry doesn't just lead the runs near the end zone. He eats up a huge chunk of the crucial plays, taking touches away from everyone else on offense. And don't forget, Baltimore was already run-heavy before Henry arrived. With him in the mix, that tendency tipped even further, making it that much harder for Flowers to post big numbers. It's almost like every Henry run is one less chance for Flowers to light up the scoreboard. Which brings us to the big question. Is there a clear ceiling for what Flowers can do in fantasy, even with all his talent?
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
Here's the harsh truth. Since Lamar Jackson became QB, no Ravens wide receiver has averaged more than 15 PPR points per game in a season. Only one even cracked 13 points. That tells us no matter who's catching passes, the system just doesn't support elite numbers at that position. So Flowers walks into 2025 fighting against a historical trend. Despite his skill and explosiveness, the math just isn't in his favor. Fewer passes mean fewer catches, fewer yards, and especially fewer touchdowns. For fantasy players, that equals a cap ceiling. That's not to say he can't have explosive weeks. He absolutely can make game-changing plays. But counting on him as a steady WR2 is risky because consistency just isn't guaranteed. He's more of a boom or bust guy, flashing brilliance one week and disappearing the next when a running game takes over. And this leads to the most interesting part. What would need to happen for Flowers to finally break out and become the fantasy star everyone's been waiting for? For Flowers to truly make that leap and lock in as a solid WR2, a lot has to change. First, Todd Monken would have to put him at the center of the offense, calling plays that get the ball in his hands frequently, whether that's short routes, screens, or creative ways to use his speed. You can't just hope he shows up. The offense has to be designed around him. He'd also need to stay consistent all season long, something he hasn't done yet. Injuries and game flow have cut into his impact during key moments in his first 2 years. For a real breakout, he had to produce not just in blowouts, but in tight games and against tough defenses. The surrounding cast matters too. With Henry and Mark Andrews soaking up a big chunk of scoring chances, Flowers would only see a big uptick in targets if one of them misses time, or the offense changes its approach. If that happens, he could become a go-to guy and finally show his full fantasy potential. Bottom line, Flowers has more than enough talent to be a fantasy star. But for now, he's that player who can flip a game with one big play, without guaranteeing steady production. For those watching him in 2025, the message is clear. The talent's there, but the situation still needs to shift for that breakout to happen. Zay Flowers has star potential, but what really decides his success isn't just his talent. It's the Ravens system, how the offense uses him, and what happens to the other guys around him. In 2025, he could either explode and cement himself as a reliable WR2 in fantasy, or stay more of a boom or bust flex option with big upside but inconsistent output. At the end of the day, Flowers has already proven he deserves a chance to shine. Now, we just have to watch and see if the team finally gives him that opportunity. So, as a fan, which version are you rooting for? The breakout that shocks everyone, or another year of wasted talent stuck in the system? Drop your thoughts below and let's roll into this Ravens season together.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.